Okay, cool. Welcome back. When last we spoke, Biggs was heading off to the academy and Luke was feeling left behind. And so pretty soon we're going to be getting to the plot about this part, but this thing. But in the meantime, so you can see the pictures, I'm going to shut it off so you can see my book. Okay, so R2-D2, we're picking up with him. Spurred on by his mission, R2 continued his lonely journey, climbing recklessly over the rocky land. He was so determined to reach a human settlement and deliver his precious message that he didn't notice the tiny fingers on the cliffs above him. Pew! A light beam hit him and he tumbled. A ripple of fluorescent light, a short electronic squeak, and R2 fell over, completely still, except for his front lights, which kept blinking wildly. 3 Jawas scurried toward him. Their eyes glowed as they jabbered. They would have no trouble selling this robot. Other Jawas joined them, and they dragged R2 back to their enormous sandcrawler. They rolled him over to a large tube that extended from the sandcrawler, and with a great whoosh, he was vacuumed into the vehicle. There you go. Look at that. Those little Jawas are sneaky. R2 landed in a small room loaded with piles of scrap metal, broken instruments, and various kinds of robots. Over all the squeaks and squawks of robots, he heard an excited shout. R2-D2, it's you! It was 3PO. He too had been captured. 3PO stumbled through the scrap and hugged his little friend. On Death Star, the powerful new battle station, the Imperial leaders were holding a meeting. General Tagg, a young man who hated Darth Vader, said angrily, "The rebels are more dangerous than any of you would think. They have good ships and pilots. They also have plans for the battle station, thanks to Lord Vader, who has not been able to find the data tapes. He has not found the location of the hidden rebel fortress either." Vader was infuriated. Governor Tarkin spoke. "Even with the information," he said, "the rebels cannot invade this station. It is far too powerful. Anyway, Lord Vader will soon find the rebel fortress, and we will crush the rebellion." Meanwhile, while the sandcrawler bounced along, R2 shut down all his systems and rested. 3PO spent time worrying about what the Jawas would do to him and his friend. He hoped he and R2 would not be melted down and used as scrap metal. None of us hope for that. At last, the sandcrawler stopped. 3PO woke R2. The Jawas appeared and pushed R2, 3PO, and the other 3 robots that they had out of the machine into the sands of Tatooine. 3PO looked around and saw small domes and vaporators. Humans must live here, he thought. Perhaps we will be saved. While 3PO was thinking, Luke and Uncle Owen approached the sandcrawler. They needed 2 robots for the farm work. While the Jawas jabbered, Uncle Owen chose a robot that looked a lot like R2. R5-D4. Then he stopped in front of 3PO. "Do you understand moisture vaporators?" he asked. "I certainly do," 3PO answered. "Okay," Uncle Owen said to the Jawas. "I'll take this one and that one back there." He paid the Jawas and turned to his nephew. "Luke, take the robots to the garage. Have them cleaned up by supper time." As Luke walked away, he heard a sad little beep. R2 didn't want to be left with the Jawas. 3PO wished he could do something to save his little friend. In a minute, he got his chance. Ping, 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 ping! The other robot Uncle Owen had picked suddenly started to pop his parts. "If I may say so, sir," 3PO whispered to Luke. "That R2 unit is in top condition." He pointed to R2-D2. "Don't let the sand and dust fool you. You ought to swap." Luke convinced Uncle Owen. Uncle Owen convinced the Jawas, and in a few minutes the 2 friends were together again. Lucky break. In Uncle Owen's garage, 3PO took a much-needed lubrication bath, and R2 plugged into a large power unit and recharged himself. So there they are. There's the trading going on, and then there's the bath. Yeah, nice oil bath. That's gonna feel good. Okay. When the robots were refreshed, Luke unplugged R2 and noticed a small metal fragment jammed between 2 wires. "I'd better remove that metal," he said. Crack! Whack! A sudden shock sent Luke reeling. A small image of a beautiful girl appeared in front of R2. The image spoke. "Obi-Wan Kenobi," the girl pleaded. "Help me. You're my only hope." Luke stared dumbfounded as she said the same thing over and over. "She's beautiful. Who is she?" he demanded of R2. "What's this all about?" R2 let out an innocent beep, pretending to be as surprised as Luke. 3PO tried to answer, but he didn't know what was happening. He thought the girl might be the person he had seen leaning over R2 on the rebel ship. He told Luke she might be someone important, but he wasn't sure. Oh, poor 3PO. He tried to get R2 to explain, but R2 refused. In a series of beeps and whistles, the small robot said he belonged to Obi-Wan Kenobi and would give the message only to him. 3PO was worried. He told Luke what R2 had said. I'm afraid his logic circuits are confused, sir. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if that might be old Ben Kenobi, the hermit who lives out on the western dunes. We should do something to help that beautiful girl. She seems to be in some kind of trouble. There must be more to that message. Luke reached for R2, but the robot backed up rapidly, squeaking and sputtering. Sir, said 3PO, he says if you remove his restraining bolt, he'll be able to repeat the entire message. Luke decided R2 was too small to run away, so he removed the bolt. Zzz, the girl disappeared as suddenly as she had come. Where is she? Bring her back! But R2 whistled innocently. Fortunately for R2, Aunt Beru called Luke to dinner, and the robots were left alone. While Aunt Beru served dinner, Luke told Uncle Owen he thought the R2 unit might have been stolen. He keeps saying he belongs to Obi-Wan Kenobi. You think he means old Ben? Uncle Owen answered Luke angrily. You forget about Ben Kenobi, do you hear? That robot couldn't possibly belong to him. However, Luke didn't want to forget. But Uncle Owen, he went on, suppose this Obi-Wan person comes looking for the robot. I don't think he will, Luke, Uncle Owen said more gently. I think Obi-Wan died about the same time your father did. Luke changed the subject. Uncle Owen, if the two new robots work out well, I'd like to leave for the academy. Uncle Owen answered the way he always did. Next year, Luke. Luke ran out of the house. Aunt Beru said quietly, You can't keep him here much longer, Owen. He's like his father. That's what I'm afraid of, Uncle Owen answered. That's what they call foreshadowing. When Luke got back to the garage, he found 3PO all upset and all alone. R2 had run away. His wires must be crossed, sir, 3PO said sadly. I've never known him to do anything like this before. Can we go after him? It's too dangerous at night, Luke answered. We'll go in the morning. I hope we find him. Uncle Owen will be furious. Early the next morning, Luke and 3PO set out in Luke's land speeder to look for R2. Luke knew where there might be some trouble from the Tusken Raiders, but he didn't sense the greater danger in store for him. Okay. There's that blue milk with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. There's the fire. There's the speeder. Oh, what a cool vehicle. Luke and 3PO were far into the deserted wasteland when they finally spotted R2. Unfortunately, the Tusken Raiders had already spotted them. The Tuskens were following the land speeder on their banthas, great beasts that looked like dinosaurs. Luke and 3PO took turns scolding R2. The poor little fellow beat sadly about his mission, but 3PO wouldn't listen. Just as they were starting to get back in the land speeder, the Tuskens attacked. One of them hit Luke over the head. 3PO went tumbling down the side of a sand dune. R2-D2 squeezed between two big rocks. Then, surprisingly, the Tuskens stood motionless. A low, booming sound rolled through the canyon. The ghost-like hollow cry terrified the Tuskens. They ran to their banthas, climbed on, and disappeared. R2 was afraid of something worse than the Tusken Raiders. He had never heard such a howl, but when he felt brave enough to peek out, he saw a pleasant-looking old man. The man bent over Luke and called out to R2, Hello there, my little friend. No need to be afraid. Luke soon woke up, rubbing his head and wondering what just had happened. Rest a minute, the man said. You're lucky you're in one piece. Luke recognized him. Ben, he said excitedly. Ben Kenobi! My, glad to see you, he went on, telling Ben about R2 and the mission and the image of the girl. He says he belongs to someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is that a relative of yours? My uncle says he's dead. The man smiled. No, he's not dead, Luke. I'm not a relative. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just haven't used that name in a very long time. Just then, R2 beeped and whirled around. 3PO, shouted Luke. I almost forgot. The poor robot was lying at the bottom of the sand dune. All his systems had stopped. One of his arms was broken off. Luke flipped a switch on his back and started to hum again. Let's get out of here, Luke, Obi-Wan said. The Raiders may come back. We can repair C-3PO at my cave, and I can find out more about R2's mission. At the cave, Luke fixed C-3PO up as good as new. Then he watched as Ben fiddled with R2. The beautiful girl appeared again and spoke. General Obi-Wan Kenobi, I present myself in the name of the world family of Alderaan and the Alliance to restore the Republic. Your friend, my father, begs you to help us as you did many years ago. The Imperials have captured me. I have put the secret plans into the mind of this droid. Please, take him to my father on Alderaan. Please do not fail us. Secret plans. There's Obi-Wan. They're getting 3PO back. And there, finally, at long last, the mission is clear. Luke's mind was spinning. Old Ben? A general? A hero? He gasped. Ben spoke quietly. I was a Jedi Knight, Luke. So was your father. Your Uncle Owen didn't want you to know. He wanted you to stay on the farm. What was my father like? Luke asked. He was a good friend, a smart fighter, and the best pilot I ever knew. The Force was strong in him. I think you're a lot like your father, Luke. As soon as he said that, Obi-Wan took a small device from a drawer and handed it to Luke. Your father's lightsaber. He wanted you to have it when you were old enough. Luke knew lightsabers had been the special weapons of Jedi Knights. How did my father die? He said. Kenobi looked away. Very slowly, he said, a young Jedi named Darth Vader, a boy I was training, murdered him. Vader used his knowledge of the Force for evil. What is this Force you keep talking about? It is hard to explain, Luke. The Force is an energy, a power that surrounds us. If you learn to use it to put it to work for you, you can be as strong as a Jedi. I'll teach you more about it as we travel to Alderaan. Luke jumped. Alderaan? I can't go with you. I gotta get home. My uncle will be looking for me. There was a long silence. Well, I guess I could take you as far as Anchorhead. You can get a ride to Mos Eisley from there. You'll find a spaceship at Mos Eisley to take you to Alderaan. That's a beginning, answered Ben. You have to do what you think is right. Let's get started. As Luke and Ben were racing along in the land speeder, Ben suddenly pointed beyond the dunes. Luke, over there! Smoke! Let's take a look. Someone may be in trouble. Luke turned the speeder around, and they entered a canyon filled with destruction. The remains of a Jawa sandcrawler and several dead Jawas lay next to clearly visible bantha tracks. The Tusken Raiders must have done this, said Luke. That's what someone wants us to think, said Ben. But only Imperial troops could have destroyed something this big. And look at those tracks, Luke. Tuskens ride their banthas single file so that no one will know their number. These tracks, side by side. Luke became alarmed. These may be the same Jawas who sold us the robots. The Imperials must have been looking for R2. They may have traced him to Uncle Owen. Luke jumped into his land speeder and roared off at full speed. As he neared his home, billowing smoke darkened the sky. Luke stumbled through the smoke, not believing what he saw. His home, totally destroyed by fire. Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, dead. Luke fell to the ground, buried his face in the sand, and cried. And that is a sad thing. That's terrible. We're to the point now where we're going to stop for part 2 and pick up with part 3. Where does Luke go from here? I have a suggestion. I have an idea.